Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode has been brought to you by the Wine to Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum to be held on November 7th and 8th of 2022 in Verona, Italy. This year will be an exclusively in-person edition. The main theme of the event will be all-round wine communication, and tickets are on sale now. The first early bird discount will be available until August 22nd. For more information, please visit us at winetowine.net. Welcome to this special Italian Wine Podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Leica, can you hear me?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, very good. It's a little crazy around here, so if you hear a lot of background noises, it's because everyone is getting ready to leave. Because tomorrow we'll be in London, we'll be in Austria, we will be in Hong Kong. So things are a bit crazy around here. Everyone's packing, getting their stuff together, and it's hot at 100 degrees outside. So, ciao, Ciro.
Ciao Stevie, come stai?
Bene, 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 bene. You're really making me work here until the last minute, the usual. I know it's payback.
I know you're a hard worker anyway, so.
So listen, my name's Stevie Kim. Welcome to the Italian Wine Club on Clubhouse. This is what we call the Ambassador's Corner. It is actually one of our most popular segments because we replay this. I know there aren't that many of you here today with us, but what we do is we play the entire conversation, the entire call on the Italian Wine Podcast, where we get tons and tons of listens. By the way, I do want to thank everybody. I see some of the ambassadors here, especially Eric, Julie, Jody, ciao, Julie, and Melissa. And because we did hit that 3 million listen mark this year, just last month, I believe, and most of it was 2 million was from the past 12 months since 2017. So pretty big deal for us, and we're very excited. So we know there are many of you listening to us, and we're very excited. And again, the Ambassador's Corner, when I first started this with Monty, I said, Monty, keep the interviews till about 15 minutes because people, there's this thing called the attention deficit, especially now with the internet and everything. We need everything quickly, as fast as possible. And I didn't think about replaying the Ambassador's Corner on the podcast. And then it turns out, because it lasts about an hour, 60 minutes, and as it turns out, it is one of the most popular segments. And I think it has all to do with, of course, the ambassadors who are part of the Mod Squad. So thank you all very much. You've all been part of this, both Julie, Jody, you've been also the part of this, and Ambassadors Corner. I think Melissa was, I'm not sure. Eric, you haven't, so I'm waiting for you to propose somebody to interview to be on the stage with you. So today, ciao, Ciro.
Ciao Stevie and all. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so you know the drill. You know how this works. Of course, Ciro is not only our only Italian wine ambassador. He is the super duper ambassador because I had to create a special category for him, with honorable mention, because he got so close to becoming an expert so many times. I think we're gonna make the exam easier. Don't tell Sarah and Henry this, but we haven't had an expert in a long time. So we were asking ourselves, maybe it's really, really too tough on you guys. So we have re-examined it, and guess what? By the way, good news. Our revised version of Italian Wine Unplugged is coming very soon, hopefully by November, the final version. And that is all thanks to all of you. So many of you have participated with the grape entries. It's completely reorganized. And actually, Attilio Scienza is writing an introduction, things he have never written about before. So that will be a big surprise. And speaking of Attilio, of course, he's written a new book. It's called Vine and Prejudice, and that is almost ready to be launched. So stay tuned and stay tuned. Keep tuned and stay tuned with us for that. You know where to find us, right? So wherever you get your pods, but on social media. So, of course, getting back to Ciro, our mod for today, he is officially the director of Italian wines for Horizon Beverage Company. And he has, of course, been completely dedicated to Italian wine in every shape and form. So he is indeed one of our best ambassadors. So thank you so much, Chita, for that, all that you do in the name of Italian wine. Chita, so let's get on to the show. Why did you choose Salvatore Avallone today as your favorite Italian wine producer?
Um, well, thank you for all the introduction, and again, hi to everybody, and hi to all the folks that make obviously the team behind the scenes that I don't get to see a lot, but Jacopo, Elena, Cinzia, Cristina, and all that, Stevie. But yeah, I chose Salvatore because I respect a lot what his family has done for obviously an entire territory, specifically the territory of the Massico in Campania, and the investment, both obviously financial as well as time that they poured in. And I am a lover of history, and specifically Roman history, and always been fascinated. I continue to study that, and I love how history intertwines with many Italian wines, and especially in Campania. If you remember, the first interview I did a while back was also about Campania, so I'm one of those apples that doesn't fall far from the tree.
Are you coming to Campania Stories? No.
No, unfortunately, it didn't work.
No, as you know, we organize these Città Scolastica, and one is coming up very soon to Campania. Our first Città Scolastica to Campania.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
No, unfortunately not. I've been to Italy twice. I'm hoping to get into that Sicily thing too. So we'll see what happens.
yeah. Hopefully you can make it. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so practically, also I'm hoping that through the conversation we have today with Salvatore, my people will benefit by familiarizing with this unique territory called Massico, and really gain more in-depth knowledge about also the uniqueness of this area, and also the local biotypes, specifically of Falanghina and Aglianico, which he'll tell us a lot about. And for me, I've been with representing here in Massachusetts Salvatore's wines for I think between 5 and 6 years now. So we got fairly close in spite of COVID keeping us aside. But I'm going to introduce Salvatore, and then we'll get into the conversation. So practically, our guest today is Salvatore Avallone, and his father specifically created the Villa Matilde, which is the name of the winery, in the 1960s, after spending over 10 years of incredible and really painstaking research to locate and identify the few remaining grape vines of the original strain that made the famous Falernum wine of Roman times. And his father, whose name is Francesco Paolo, was a lawyer and also a lifelong student of the Roman history and the Roman Empire, and also a professor of Roman law at the University Federico II of Naples. So him and his friends, at the Department of Agriculture at the University of Naples, conducted an empelographical study of the vines in all the practically the small wineries and farms in people's backyards, if you will, in the Caserta region, where the famed Falerno wines have been produced for such a long time. Obviously, the phylloxera epidemic of the late 1800s wiped out all the vines, or practically 99.9%, other than very few. And this group of friends discovered 15 vines, 10 red between Aglianico and Piedirosso, and 5 white in Falanghina. And this very tiny but obviously very precious start gave the Avallone family the opportunity to embark on a journey to create the modern, obviously, expression of the greatest, really the single greatest wine of ancient Rome, known today as Falerno del Massico. But without further ado, I'm gonna introduce. I'm gonna have Salvatore. Dear Salvatore, ciao. How are you? Nice to have
Ciao,
you.
Salvatore.
Hi, ciao Ciro, ciao Stevie, and
Li-
thank you for everybody to give me the opportunity to stay here and to speak about the story of Falerno and my beautiful region Campania. Thank you to
Thank you
everybody.
for participating. Listen, I'm going to leave you off now because I'm going to do some packing. I will be listening to you and we'll be coming back, but I'm just going to shut up now, which is my favorite part when you guys take over. Okay, so take it away, Ciro and Salvatore.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, Salvatore, allora, first and foremost, my question is, what did Falernum as a wine meant in ancient times, and what happened to it? Just tell us about the story.
Yeah, was a long and very interesting story. Falerno probably is the eldest wine in Italy, more than 2 millennium and half of history in this name, in this wine. Falerno was the favorite wine of Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and many others in the last 2 millennium. But basically, was uh, not just a wine. He was and he is a legend of the story of winemaking in Campania region. In the ancient time, Falerno was the most rare, well reputed, famous, and expensive wine during the Roman imperial age. Was the wine for the kings, for the emperors, for the pope, and he was produced since 19th century, always in the same uh, level of the market. So in UK, for example, the word Falerno was um, the meaning of the word Falerno was top quality wine, not just the name of a Campanian wine. Unfortunately, after 2 millennium of history, the philosopher totally destroyed the vineyards in the Ager Falernus area, and in the 1950, with my father, we try with an archaeological operation to rebuild the vineyards, to rebuild the wine, and to rebuild the knowledge about this particular type of wine.
That's yeah, that's quite really quite amazing. So what actually inspired your dad to reinvent, Falerno in modern style that we have today, especially considering that, as you said, after 2000, almost or over 2000 years of history, the wine had totally been gone for, I think, over 80 years. So practically, I think most people forgot about it. So really, there must have been something that really pushed him to inspire him to really bring back this ancient history.
So my father was a lawyer, as you said, but also he was in love for the story, for the ancient story of our region. And Falerno, I said before, what don't was just a wine, but was one of the best legend with the best image in the winemaking of Campania. His goal was to rebuild this this myth, this legend of winemaker that was totally disappeared from the market in the end of 19th century. So our goal also today is to develop the best experience in the traditional winemaking in Campania region, to the other side with the best modern technology. So we want to produce a wine with the roots in 2 millennium of history, but a Falerno wine for the modern time, for the modern market and consumers.
Got it. So now I have a question because obviously you guys produce both white and red Falerno del Massico, other in different styles. So I'm curious, and obviously it's probably a question that goes back to long, long time, but what was the original Falerno? Was it a white wine? Was it a red wine? And also through my readings, I kind of discovered that Falernum was made in different ways based on not only on the specific vineyard sites but also on the specific style that the makers of the time wanted to create. So very interesting. Why don't you tell us about that?
So in the ancient time, the difference that we have in our modern time between white and red wines that was so deep. So because basically you have to know that Falerno is not a grape variety, but is a region, a geographic region in which was produced both the red and white grape varieties. During the ancient times, the Romans used to make vinification with both grape variety all together, and the wines, the Falern wines in the ancient time was a quite different compared with the Falerno that used to drink now, was pale, red pale in color, and with a lot of oxidation in the wine. You have to know that in the ancient time, the Falerno was aged for more than 100 years in clayam forest, and that was stored in the fumarium. Fumarium was the a wide room in which the smokes of the fireplace was concentrated. So you can imagine a wine that is aged for 100 years, smoked, and stored in clay amphoras with a lot of oxygen, that an oxygen exchange between the wine and the atmosphere. Uh, so a different, totally different type of products that compare with the idea of wines that we have today.
Wow. If I got it right, you said 100 years, which means I mean, nobody that was born that year would have actually had the opportunity to actually try the wine through their lifespan. Um, that's really quite amazing. No wonder also I heard that the cost of Falernum as a wine was like incredibly high, where only some of the wealthiest, richest, obviously powerful, emperors and kings and rulers could afford the wine based exactly on that the wine was aged for such a long period of time. That's truly amazing. Now you practically because you guys obviously started in the Falerno del Massico area to bring back the story, but as a winery, the family eventually expanded also to other parts of Campania, such as the Beneventano area as well as Irpinia, which we'll talk about. But my question here is, what makes this Falerno del Massico area unique in relationship to other territories of Campania, especially for people that are not so familiar with this region?
So thank you for this question, because it's very interesting to try to describe the characteristic of territories of Falerno compared to the other one. Basically, you have to know that the terroir in which Falerno is produced is located in the north side of Campania region, very close to the sea, few kilometers far from the sea coast, and the vineyards are located on the slopes of the died volcano of Rocca Monfina. But all this area is surrounded by a crown of mountain. Every day in this region, from the mountain, blow down in the direction of the sea a fresh breeze that give us the opportunity to protect and develop the flavors in our grapes. And then the sea coast that is so close to the vineyards give us the opportunity to have a lot of salinity, a salty taste in our grapes and then of course in our wines, mixed with the characteristic of minerality of our volcanic soil, because all the hills in which the Falerno vineyards are located, in which we produce our Falerno, are made with the stratification of the eruption of the died today volcano of Rocca Monfina. So an incredible blend of territory, temperature, microclimate, and salty taste. A unique terroir that gives us the opportunity to produce a wine unique in the characteristic of flavors, of aging potential. Uh, Today, I don't suggest to wait 100 years before to uncork a bottle of our Falerno, please. But uh, both white Falerno and red Falerno that we produce have a very big aging potential. Our white wines are very interesting when they are young and fresh, but improve their aromatic profile, testing organoleptic profile with 2, 3, 4, and more years of refining in bottle and in our cellar. And also, of course, with our red wine that can um, refine, can age in your cellar up to 35, 40 years or more.
Wow, that sounds like it's practically one of the perfect terroirs for the vine, hence the fact that obviously already over 2,000 and longer year ago, the winemakers of the time realized the uniqueness, because practically you're saying you have the coastline with the Mediterranean influence, the mountains, and obviously this volcanic, very important volcanic element in the soil that really creates unique styles. And it's also great to know that the wines, also the white, obviously besides the red, can age incredibly well. That's terrific, and hopefully more and more people will be able to, also have the opportunity to taste some older versions of it. Now, the times that we met and we discussed and talked about, the wines, you always refer to. Obviously, the main grapes used there being Falangina for the whites and Aglianico for the red, about the local biotypes. So practically, they're not just the typical Falangina or the typical Agliano used in other territories, but they're very unique to this territory. What makes them different specifically? Because obviously, I'm sure that's what also gives the wines the opportunity to age so long.
So this is another interesting question. So you know that grape variety, all the grape variety that you can have all around the world, are originated just from one area in the world, that is the Anatolic Mesopotamic area. So with the civilization and conquer campaign of the Greek people, the grape varieties has been cultivated before in the area around the Mediterranean Sea, and also in south of Italy. The Greek people conquered the south of Italy and founded a big Greek colony called Magna Grecia. So basically, 100% of the grape varieties we have in south of Italy are the descendant of ancient Greek grape variety. Like the variety that today we call Falanghina and Aglianico. Since the period, the age in which the ancient variety arrived in the south of Italy, we have had more than 2 millennia of evolution of this type of variety. So, in easy way, we call today Falanghina and Daglianico the variety that used to produce our white and red Falerno. But in this area, we use two biotype that are the direct descendant of the grape variety planted in the Falernos area more than 2 millennium years ago, with 2 millennium of evolution in their characteristic, and these biotypes are perfectly matched with the characteristic of the soil and microclimate that we have in this region. Basically, these two biotypes, if you compare this type of Falanghina, for example, or Aglianico with other Falanghina or Daglianico that we can have in Campania region, you understand immediately that the wine that you can have from this variety are deeper, wider in the aromatic profile, and with a bigger aging potential. So you can age a white Falerno for up to 20-25 years with an interesting evolution of the aromatic profile and the taste of this type of wine.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, makes sense. Obviously, they're unique biotypes. So now, just to understand a little bit better, obviously we don't have the wine in front of us, but say that we did, specifically the reds, right? And because you make obviously a Falerno del Massico Rosso, so the red version, but you also make the other great Italian Southerner version of Aglianico, being Taurasi, obviously in Irpinia. So, if we had the wines in front of us, what would be that you would say the main differences between your two expressions of Aglianico from the coastal side, obviously, to the inland side on the Taurasi?
Yeah, when I want to describe the difference between two this type of wine, I compare with the people that lives in the area in which these two different wines are produced. The Falerno is produced in a sunny, warm area close to the sea and in a warm climate with just a touch of nervous character that arrives from the fresh breeze that blows from the mountain this area. The Taurasi is produced with the same grape variety Aglianico, not the same biotype, not the same variety, in the coldest region of Campania, about 140 kilometers far from the Falerno area, in the middle of the region, in the Rocky Mountain area, and is like the people of the mountain, is very hard, but also interesting and austere, and with a different character. One, the Falerno, is rounded, is velvety in the taste, very deep, and sunny in his organoleptic profile. The Torasi is very important, full bodied, but also austere, and a little bit more aggressive in the tannic concentration of this variety. Taurasi is also called the Barolo from south of Italy. A like Barolo need time and a different wine pairing comprende the Falerno del Massico.
Yeah, that's that's amazing. But the analogy makes total sense. Where obviously people from the coast and the sunny and the water, they're quite different. So are the wines, obviously from the mountainous areas and whatnot. And as you mentioned, the expression about Taurasi being the Barolo of the South, I have to say, hopefully nobody will kill me about this, but at least for time wise and historical purposes, maybe Barolo should be considered to be the Taurasi of the North. But either way, I guess that brought some relevance to Taurasi in the markets internationally. So hopefully it'll continue to grow, and Falerno and Taurasi will continue to thrive. Now, I had the opportunity recently when I was in Italy in April to, we were supposed to meet. Unfortunately, you got COVID, so we didn't get to meet, but you were very gracious to host us in Naples, and I had the opportunity to try your Vigna Camarato because I know you probably make more than one single vineyard expressions of the Falerno Rosso. And I believe we tasted 2011, which was obviously over 10 years old. As you mentioned, these wines can age very, very long time. But that wine specifically, which we don't sell here in the market, amazingly impressed me because of the, obviously great concentration, depth of flavors, really all around was a phenomenal, phenomenal bottle of wine. Forget about Falerno or not. So now, what really defines that specific vineyard at best? I mean, I never been to that vineyard site, so I'm not really sure what's unique about it. But maybe you can tell us as the wines continue to show up in the market.
Yeah, Vigna Camarato is probably one of best vineyard that you can find in the Falerno's region. Our Vigna Camarato, our vineyard Camarato, is over 50 years old and is positioned in the higher area of the hill in which our vineyards are located, south direction. So the exposition is to south direction, and like Vigna Caracci, the white Falerno, another single vineyard of white Falerno that we produce, find the main difference in the composition of the soil of this area. They give to the wine a special character, but also is interesting the story of the name Camarato. In our dialect, Camarato is the corruption of the word camarato, camorato, that means with love. Camore, so you can understand, means with love. And the ancient people that used to work in this area said that if you work on this vineyard with love and passion, you can have the best results of wines and grapes that you can have in all other vineyards in Falerno terroir.
Wow, I had no idea Camarato was actually a slang corruption of the word Camorato in the sense with love. That's I guess, in spite of being my dialect, some things you get to learn through wine as well, right? Now, when you say, because you mentioned the high elevation, I mean, specifically here, what elevation we're talking about, in this Vigna Camarato?
So you are not so far from the sea coast, so the elevation is not very big. It's around 140 meters on the sea level, and the average of the vineyards in the Falerno area is around 100, 120 meters on the sea level. Um, Compared with the Taurasi area, for example, the average of vineyards in the Taurasi area is from 400 meters up to 600, 650 meters in the area of Monte Marano. Totally different climate condition and microclimate.
Yeah, that's very very different, obviously. Um, so actually, I'm curious to know because obviously, just to create a landscape in people's minds here today, how many? I mean, how big is the appellation? Like, how many producers are there, and like how many bottles are produced overall of like Falerno wines, which I'm sure is still fairly relevant, right? Or fairly small.
So actually in the Falerno area, there are about 20 small cellar in which Falerno is produced. But um, Villa Matilde is actually the main producer. Our family has rebuilt the Falerno wine, and the we produce about 60% uh, for the red type of Falerno and 85% of the total production for white Falerno. So basically, we are the main producer of Falerno area. The eldest and also the main producer. We own about 62 hectares of vineyards in the area in which we can produce this type of wine.
Right. Got it. Thank you. Um, so now, people are also interesting about practically the viticultural practices. As more and more producers are moving towards obviously sustainable first and foremost, but organic, biodynamic, and whatnot. So, what are the actual viticultural practices that you use in your vineyards? And actually, my other question is, are there any big differences between obviously the Falerno area, which we're discussing, but also the inland parts of Campania might as well be, the Beneventano area or the Irpinia, just because again the territories are so different from one another.
Yeah, that's another important things about the special characteristic of Falerno area, because Falerno is naturally protected against the, mm, the storm, against the cold wind that blows in the south in the last year after the global warming starting. And also our vineyards has been managed and are managed with the integrated production system with an evolution in the organic um, crop production. But today everybody do practice this type of production of style of um, management of the vineyards. We started more than 20 years ago in all our vineyards in the Falerno area, in the Taurasi, Greco, Fiano area, with integrated production. And we are also certified like in this type of management of vineyards. Our wine are also suitable for vegans uh, because we think that is interesting to develop our production in the respect of animals, respect of our consumer that want to drink wine with this special characteristic.
Got it. Yep. So now, just a step away from Falerno, because I knowing that you produce also, as we mentioned, wines in Irpinia, which is a obviously terrific area for many grapes, white as well as reds. I'm usually a passionate and a big fan of Fiano di Avellino. So now your Fiano di Avellino on the label says Montelapio, which obviously it's a fantastic terroir. And so, in your opinion, what is that makes this wine so particular? Is it the obviously the terroir? Is it the variety itself that connects to terroir? Just let us know.
So basically, you have to. I want to tell you that Villa Matilde is an azienda agricola. That means that we use just grape that we produce in our own vineyards for all our wine. And every wine that we produce is the expression of a single geographic and production area. All our wine, in all our wine, you can find the name of the vineyards in which that type of wine and that type of grapes has been produced. So, for the Fiano di Avellino, but the same for Falanghina that is made in Roccaleone, or the Falerno that is made in Colle Castrese area. In Forfiano di Avellino, the grapes are produced on Monte Lapio. Lapio is a small um, production area located about 500 meters on the sea level, with the dry, windy climate, and very ventilated. Also, the soil, like basically all the soil of our region, of Campania region, are volcanic soil. And the characteristic of the microclimate of Montelapio give us the special flavor in our Fiano. We choose to produce all our white wines like Fiano, Greco, and Falanghina without blending these grape varieties with a small percentage of different indigenous grapes from our region. That is no, like the main producer normally made. Our Fiano is produced 100% with the Fiano grape varieties, like the same for the Greco, the same for the Falanghina, because we want to develop and exalt the characteristic of this type of grape and the type of the terroir.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic terroir, and obviously Fiano there performs at its best, most likely. So now I want to ask you a question, just a bit more in general, because obviously Campania, it's a region that has incredible history in viticulture, winemaking, and obviously having so many native varieties, and so much work has been done by many great producers, including yourself. But what are the say main challenges for a wine producer in Campania?
So Campania is probably the region with the bigger biodiversity in Italy. We have hundreds of different grape varieties, indigenous grape varieties, and the whole Campania is a land of excellence in every field, but especially in the wine production. Um, from the point of view of our sector, we have grown a lot, but we still have to go further in the direction of enhance the unique heritage of our biodiversity, not only from the point of view of quality, but also of the cultivation present. After all, we are in what the ancient Romans called Campania Felix. So we have an obligation to make it discover more and more in the world.
Yes, and I hope so as well. I just have a couple more questions, and then we can open if anybody has any questions on the audience. But so Now, obviously, consumers internationally, because you as a winery, like any other Italian wineries, you try to speak to a global audience, if you will. So, what have you learned about the changing consumer taste in wine, and are you developing, say, wines to adapt to the taste of folks? Might as well be here in the United States or in any other country for that matter, or you're trying to stick strictly to the traditions.
So I said you before that we want uh, to have in one hand 2 millennium of experience in winemaking, but in the other hand, we want to have the best winemaking production, much modern production, and our job, a part of our job, is to blend and to match these two different experience. Of course, in our production style, for example, we use the ancient amphoras to age both our white and red Falerno. And but we don't want to forget what is the special testing, the special flavor that the people now want to find in a modern type of wine. But the Falerno of today uh, is not so different for the Falerno produced many years ago. Of course, the technique are different, the taste are modern, but the rules of our wine are in 2 millennium of history, and we have the responsibility to produce an unique wine like this. We don't want to change this characteristic, but we want to balance the tradition with the evolution of the taste. And definitely we think that the people that has had the testing, that have tried this type of wine, find a very interesting wine also for the taste of modern market and modern consumer.
Are you enjoying this podcast? There is so much more high quality wine content available from Mama Jumbo Shrimp. Check out our new wine study maps, our books on Italian wine, including Italian Wine Unplugged, The Jumbo Shrimp Guide to Italian Wine, Sangiovese Lambrusco and Other Stories, and much more on our website, mamajumboshrimp.com. Now back to the show.
Right. Definitely understandable. It's any producer. I feel like you have to be able to obviously keep your traditions going, but be able to speak an international language where people feel familiar with the taste profile and enjoy the wines. So now, because you mentioned the amphora, any of the current Falerno production of yours spend some time or does some aging of sort in amphora tanks?
So our white Falerno, about depending on the vintage, 25-30% of the must ferment and refine in ancient clay amphoras like Dolium or amphoras from 400 up 2,000 liters each for many months for white Falerno or years for the single vineyard Vigna Carracci. And we blend the wine that has been refined in clay amphoras with the must fermented in stainless steel. We want to produce a wine with a small taste of clay amphoras and the evolution of tasting that the wine can have in this type of tank. But also we want to protect the aromatic flavor typical of this type of grape varieties, like for example sage, banana, Guinness flower, and white peach, and so on. So it's interesting to to taste the evolution of the must also in this type of amphoras compared to all the type of wine produced just in stainless steel.
Got it. So yeah, the amphora sounds like it gives more, obviously complexity and texture, together with the typical, flavors and aromas of the local falangina. So last thing I have for you, it's obviously we all love food together with wine, and because obviously I'm from Campania for sure, but I'm not really familiar too much with the food up there in the Caserta province. So, specifically with the two Falernos, the white and the red that you described us, what would be some, say, might as well be typical local preparations or ancient preparations and maybe have been around for a long time that people commonly, consume while they're drinking the Falerno, vice versa?
So in our region, the perfect matching for red Falerno, but not the only one, is with roasted lamb, and is the very simple and easy way to match and to drink this type of wine. But I, at my home, enjoy very often a glass of red Falerno with a small piece of good Parmesan. That is very, very interesting. For the white Falerno, we used to match this type of wine with seafood, but basically with crustaceous preparation. And we used to have a soup, a pumpkins and shrimp soup that is, in my opinion, one of the best wine pairing that we can have with this type of wine.
Pumpkin and shrimp, yeah, never, definitely not common in Salerno, but sounds delicious regardless. Well, I'm gonna see if anybody, I'm gonna pass it like. But before I do that, I wanted to obviously thank you immensely on my behalf for taking the time to, time out of your schedule and be able to discuss with me and all of us here listening today and, more about what your family has done and obviously Falerno. Grazie.
Grazie, grazie a tutti. Thank you to everybody, Ciro. Thank
Hey, hi, you guys. I'm back. Everyone's more or less out of the office now. Now I can, there's a little bit more quiet. Thank you so much, Salvatore and Ciro. Of course, you asked all the insightful questions. Salvatore, I just have some like basic, like simple questions. First of all, I'm on your website now, and there, the wines are only available on the Italian version. Is that correct? Hello?
Hello. So, sorry, I haven't understood your question. What you say?
No, perché io sono sul sito, vostro sito ora, no?
Sì.
E i vini sono visibili solo nella parte italiana, nella lingua italiana, perché se vado in inglese non vedo i vini.
Ok. Io, probabilmente c'è un problema del sito, ma grazie per la
Ah, okay. It's
segnalazione
not
e
something you did on purpose.
yeah, sorry. Uh, but we change immediately this strange thing that you have seen.
And the price that you have on the website, are those, so those are the e-commerce prices, is that correct?
Yeah, is correct.
Okay. So
E-commerce
what
price.
I want to ask you, Salvatore, is that I'm seeing this beautiful, beautiful winery in a beautiful setting. How many wines do you produce in total? Because I'm under wine.
Yeah,
Can you
we
just give me an
we,
idea how many wines you
we
produce? And one thing in particular that I thought it's interesting is that you are very focused on different formats in terms of sizes. You do sometimes half bottle. Often you'll do, of course, a magnum. You are very
yeah.
focused on offering different sizes. Is this
Yeah.
because something that you've responded to the market?
Yeah, we own we produce, sorry, about 18 different type of wine. Every wine comes from a single vineyard. But also we have three different production area. The main cellar and winery is located in the area of Falerno, but we have a second winery in the Irpinian area with another cellar also. And the third production area is located in the Benevento area, in which in Roccaleone geographic region. So we have also different size of bottle. The half bottle, for example, that is available just in the European market, but we have also the Magnum or double Magnum bottles um, for some wine for basically Falerno, Colle Castrese, and for our Vigna Camarato and Cecubo.
So, Salvatore, how many, like in terms of volume, how many bottles are you producing in total?
We produce about 500,000 bottles of
Mezzo milione?
mezzo milione,
Okay,
500,000 bottles in our vineyards in Irpinian area and in Benevento and Falerno area.
All right. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The setting where the winery is located, and hopefully we can come to visit you soon. And are you the only one member of the family, or have you got sibling? Have you got sister or brother who works? Which part of the family members work in the winery?
Yeah, thank you for this question. My sister and I run actually Villa Matilde. We are the second generation after our father, and actually the third generation is starting to work with us. My son Francesco Paolo and my niece Cristina.
How old are they?
28 and 26 years old. My niece is has been degraded like an enologist, and my son Francesco Paolo in my international marketing of the wine and economy management. So Cristina started 1 year ago to work in Villa Matilde, and Francesco will arrive in the next month of October at the end of his degree period of study.
Great. Well, thank you and good luck to you with everything.
Thank you, Stevie. Thank you to everybody for your interest in the wines of south of Italy and in Villa Matilde wines in Palermo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Laika, are you on?
Yes, I'm here, Stevie.
Hi, Laika. Do you want to tell us what's coming up next?
Yes,
definitely. We're going to London, so you're going to take over, right?
Yeah, and I actually gave a heads up to Joy as well to co-moderate for this week.
Okay, excellent. Who's coming up next?
So for tomorrow, we'll have Julie. Julie's actually here in the audience, so she will be interviewing.
Oh, Julie's back. We love Julie. Thank you so much for the book. She's helping us. She's giving us a big hand. One of the authors now for the book. She's correcting, helping us.
Yes, we love Julie. So she's going to be interviewing Francesca Margiotta of Hacienda Agricola, Carlo Mario, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Italian time zone. And also on Friday, we have Rebecca Severs. She will be interviewing Giovanni Nordera of Pasqua Winery. So that's going to be at 6 p.m. as well. So that's it.
Excellent. Yeah, we saw Rebecca when she was here. She came for a visit to Verona, I think last month or so. So excellent. Thank you so much, you guys. Enjoy tomorrow with Laika. Ciao ragazzi. Ciao Ciro.
Ciao a tutti, grazie.
Mi raccomando.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao, Salvatore.
Ciao.
Once again, here we go.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode brought to you by the Wine to Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum, to be held on November 7th and 8th, 2022, in Verona, Italy. Remember, the first early bird discount on tickets will be available until August 22nd. For more information, please visit us at winetowine.net. Guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.